That brings us to the nightcap, Dallas and the Clippers. And the Clippers, I had a feeling they were going to come out like Debo on that old rickety bike, right? Just pocket checking these young Mavericks. And that's what they did, right? The first 6-7 minutes, it was just a pocket check from the Clippers. And that's what veteran teams want to do. Like Dallas is dangerous. It's no secret, right? But they're young, they're inexperienced. You don't want to give them no life, especially in the beginning of the first game. Like, hey, we can hang with these guys. And so they tried to put their foot on their necks early on. But Dallas proved to be very resilient. And the three ball, once again, proves to be the great equalizer. Now, what I had noticed in this game, I had noticed this before, but when Luka slipped and went out with the ankle, look, the NBA has got a big problem here. They've got a big problem here, and they need to fix it now. I understand some of the limitations they're dealing with, but I don't know how many of y'all have noticed. A lot of guys are slipping on these courts. Non-contact slipping. There's a difference. Like, I'm not talking about, catching your toe and tripping or stepping on a foot or losing your balance. I'm talking about slipping out from under them, a slippery surface, right? And that's a problem, man. Kemba did it chasing down a ball. I've seen it almost in every game. I've seen it in every game, and the courts seem especially slippery. And so initially I was thinking like, is it because there's no paint? Or is this fresh court? And perhaps the paint in the key and some of these other things lead to better traction in some of these arena floors. But then I realized there's no ball boys on the baseline. There's no ball boys on the baseline. You say, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, if you notice the details, whenever free throws are shot and then the ball moves down to the other end of the court, those ball boys come and they wipe the key where everybody's standing, because that's where the sweat puddles build. When someone's at the free throw line, and there's been a lot of free throws, right? But guys are sweating, perspiring, they're hunched over, or they're standing at the line. These puddles of sweat occur there. And in a normal NBA arena, those ball boys, every time the ball goes down the other end, they're swiping, they're cleaning. Now, I saw a little mop way off to the side, but I don't think those guys, those cleaners, are there at all. And I don't know when those are getting wiped down. In the NBA, I understand they don't want to have anybody on that baseline, but do you want to have Luka blow his knee out? Do you want LeBron to tear his taint in his final run? So they need to work that out. Put a kid in a mask, a bubble. They need to start wiping these courts down before a star player has a very serious injury in this bubble. And so Luka, clearly hurting, checks out of the game. You see Carlisle try to show him empathy when he finally, because he hurt the ankle and you could see him kind of grimacing and looking at it for a couple possessions. And then they finally stopped the game. And you see Carlisle, it pained him so much to try and show empathy, right? Carlisle's such a hard ass. It was cringy. He was like, Luka, yeah, you're all right. Come on. Right. And so he goes, and I'm like, oh man. I mean, whether you're a Clippers fan, a Mavericks fan, it doesn't matter who you're a fan of or who you're rooting for in this tournament. You don't want to see this kid go down, right? We've already seen Zion eat himself out of the bubble. And I'm like, now Luka, right? Now Luka. But fortunately, it was, I haven't seen what they've called it today. I'm sure they're listing it as an ankle sprain, right? A mild ankle sprain. And they taped him up and he was back out there. And I have to admit, man, I am even more impressed with Luka. You've got possibly the worst matchup he could have in his playoff debut with all those wing defenders, right? They're out there trying to bully him. Now he tweaks the ankle and he just showed his toughness and resilience. The Mavericks team did, right? It took one quarter. And the Clippers, did I mention they were up like 18-0, 18-2. But by the end of the first quarter, the Mavericks had scored 38, 40 points and had the lead. But it took one quarter to establish from Luka Doncic and this young Mavericks team, like, we're not here to be bullied. We're not here to get punked, right? And I loved the fact that he was giving back the physicality. It's nuanced. It's subtle. We know how physical he is going to the rim, but there's little things he does, like they're picking up press on him and he comes back to the ball and he'll slow down and veer, kind of do the Chris Paul thing and veer into Paul George, who's trailing him or whoever's trailing him. The difference is Luka's much bigger than Chris Paul, and those guys are feeling that physicality, and he's more than willing to give that back, man. Look, the Luka effect is real. The Luka effect is real. And you say, well, what is the Luka effect? And what I mean by that is, doesn't it feel like just the way he gives the ball up, the way he serves it up to his shooters, they just have more confidence and tend to shoot it better when the pass comes from Luka. It's a real thing, it feels like. And A lot of it is personality. Some of it is body language and the way he gives it up, right? And then, of course, there's accuracy and timing. But it almost feels like it should be like a badge in 2K, right? Where if you receive a pass to shoot a three from Luka, your percentage should go up like 10%. It's a real thing, the Luka effect. It's almost like the opposite of Kyrie. But it was something to behold, man. It's something to behold. Case in point, Michael Kidd Gilchrist railing threes. You want to talk about found money? I want to see Michael Jordan watching Kidd Gilchrist rail those threes, right? But that might have been the best part of the game because you know what it reminded me of when he hit that every time. I think he hit two of them, right? But every time he hit one, it was like in high school at the end of a game when they put in the special kid. I'm not trying to be derogatory. You see it all the time, these videos on social media where like there's a special kid that's kind of like part of the team. And at the end of a game, they put him in and he hits a shot and everybody goes crazy. I mean, that's Dallas's bench every time Kidd Gilchrist hit a three. That was fun to watch, man. But again, the Luka effect. There's something about the way, and obviously like the accuracy, the timing, it's spectacular, but there's something more about it. His personality, the way he gives it to you, he doesn't put pressure on his shooters. And that was the jab at Kyrie. Part of Kyrie's problem is he dances and dribbles so much with the ball that it's always a plan B to kick it out. And by that time, the shooter's rhythm is off. And a lot of the time they're shoestring passes, so they're not in the pocket. So that has a lot to do with the percentage. But there's something, we've all played with dudes where they pass you the ball and it's like, you better make this shit, right? Like we saw Russ do that for years and he's gotten better with it. But it's like they drive hard, they kick it to you in the corner and they look at you like, you better fucking make that, right? And Luka, it's the opposite. He's like, I know you about to drop that, right? He's turning and running the other way for you. So he builds the confidence up in his shooters, even MKG, man. And that's crazy. It's spectacular. So when Luka was out briefly in that first quarter, you got to give the Mavericks in Carlisle credit because when Luka was out, they made runs. They're capable without him. And KP, look, man, if Montrezl Harrell, you saw the Clippers were out of sync, specifically with their switching defensively. Lou, all of a sudden the playoffs come, Lou, you ain't going to get them whistles, boy. I told you. You ain't going to get them whistles, Lou. So there's some things to be a little concerned with, I think, if you're the Clippers. Montrezl Harrell, if he's going to be ending up working his way back into shape throughout this series, and we're going to see heavy minutes from Zoo, KP has to dominate him. Like if you want to be thought of as a legit number two and an all-star center or big, you got to dominate Zoo. You know, I'm not saying he's trash, but KP has to establish that he is on another level. And I thought he carried them early when Luka was out getting the ankle checked. And he looked all right, man. He's been great in the bubble. He picks up the cheap tee, right? And then there's the dust up with Luka and Marcus Morris. And I'm not going to fault KP at all for doing what he did there, right? Like, that's what you're supposed to do, Kristaps, right? Protect QB1, hands off QB1. Someone gets in Luka's face that you're big, and whoever it is, the whole Mavericks team really needs to do it. But ideally, your big needs to come over and cut that shit out. We're not having none of that. So I liked that, right? But unfortunately, it kind of killed the game vibes a little bit, right? You're like, all right, you take him out now. It hurt their confidence a bit too. I think the funny thing was Luka. He's unflackable out there, right? You know, Marcus Morris is one of the known tough guys in the league, and Luka comes back, circles back around to him at midcourt after they've been separated, and he's like, hey man, let me explain myself. Like, bro, don't hold me like that. Whatever the case was, they were piecing it up, right? And if you paid attention, Beverly's right there with Morris, and as soon as they start piecing it up, Bev yanks Morris away, like, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. Don't get cool with him. The art of war. Beverly wanted no piecing up, right? But yeah, it was unfortunate, man. It was unfortunate, and it's going to be a problem. It's been spoken of plenty of times with no crowd. The demonstrative actions towards the refs are on Front Street, right? When you yell and pump your fist, it's right there for the refs. They kind of have to call it. You wonder if they were playing in Dallas, would they have been so quick to give him that second tee and ejected him just from the wrath of the crowd that they would have got? But it is what it is. All we've heard about is how poor these NBA ratings are right now. People aren't watching basketball. The bubble ratings are way down. The NBA needs LA versus LA. And it really felt like the Clippers were getting a lot of calls down the stretch. I mean, you could talk about the Porzingis getting ejected. technically. And you know what I hate? How they took this cue from the NFL where they patch in, the head of the refs and he tells us why they're right. Has they ever patched the guy in and he goes, you know what, the refs are wrong? Like he backs the refs every time. So it's patronizing and they need to cut it out, right? So I'm not necessarily going to blame KP getting thrown out on that, but there were just some bang calls down the stretch that seemed to go the Clippers' way. Tonight in this Lakers-Portland series starting, I think we're going to see the Lakers get the call because I think the NBA, if we want to get down conspiracy lane here, they need the Laker-Clipper Western Conference Finals. And to be honest with you, I think we all want it. We all want it. We just don't want to be cheated out of some good matchups along the way, right? Anyway, NBA now. I have an announcement for y'all. Patron, tomorrow I will have a breakdown of either Houston OKC game 1 or Portland Lakers game 1, whichever one is better. And then on the 20th, Thursday, the NBA lottery, join me live so we can get that number 1 pick, Warriors fans. And we'll talk draft and prospects. I've done a ton of homework. My patrons know I have scouted this draft pretty much all the way through the first round with all this quarantine time. So I got a lot of content, a lot of takes on that. And join me live again Thursday. I think it'll be like halftime. They used to do it at halftime of one of those games, but maybe the format will be a little different because of the situation here. But I know it's the 20th, Thursday evening. Join me live on YouTube. I'm out, y'all.